First of all, welcome back to TCR, the channel that has received a lot of neglect over the past few months, mainly because I've been a busy bee getting on with other things in my life. But it's about time I explain the well overdue story of why I sold the Golf GTI to replace it with this absolute metal beast. But before we do, it's about time that I drop in to the true style of the episodes where we modify the car slightly. So with all that said, let's have a look at this and then we'll go for a drive and I'll explain things a little bit better.
Oh yes, that's right. It wouldn't be a typical TCR episode if we didn't mess around with the car, would it? So let's jump straight into it and add some rather sculptured scaffold to the truck. Why? Because I think it looks kinda cool.
So obviously moving from a Golf GTI to an L200 pickup truck is quite a big step in life, and the main reason is down to practicality. Now, not to sound old and boring, obviously going from a little quick hot hatch to something that's big and daft and really rubbish on fuel, that I will say early on in this video, it makes sense for me to do this because at the moment, if you've not seen my other content, we've dropped a few links, we are renovating a house at the minute and we're travelling backwards and forwards to Wales lugging lots of gear around. It would have been difficult to do in a GTI. I would have put stupid mileage on it and it just would have basically made the car depreciate even more. I took the step to get rid of the GTI after owning it for 2 years down to one reason, and that was residual value. I inquired about a pickup truck, and when they offered what they offered to give me for the car, it appears that I'd lost £500 on the purchase price I paid 2 years prior to that. So it made perfect sense for me to get rid of it and move into something like this. When I bought the Golf GTI, I paid £18,500 for it. Now, I didn't pay that cash because I'll openly admit that I finance all of my cars because I get bored quite easily and it makes sense for me just to keep chopping and changing them. I bought it for £18,500. 2 years later, I went to trade it in and they offered me £18,000 for it. So I actually had £2,000 positive equity in the car, which is very rare for a PCP after 2 years. Then this car I leased. Now, it's the first time I've ever leased a car, and there's one reason for leasing this car, and that was to avoid the VAT. Because on a commercial vehicle, if you're going to go down a PCP route, they want the VAT as a deposit. Now, the VAT on a car like this was £7,000, and I thought even if I had £7,000, I'd be more than stupid to put that amount of money into a car that I was going to get rid of in the next 4 years. So what I did was I pulled the £2,000 equity out of the Golf. I kept £1,700 of it to myself. I put 1 month's payment down on this, and then I just pay the same for the next 4 years. Things with this though, automatic. The MPG, when you buy it, they do say 45 to the gallon. That is an absolute fib. It's a fairy tale. The best I've ever had out of this in the motorway was 34 MPG. Round town, you're between 25 and 28. They are shocking on diesel because it's a 2.5 litre turbo diesel, 5-speed. Now the auto is 5-speed, but the manual's 6-speed. That's probably why it's a bit better on fuel. But with the L200, I can't complain really. It is what it is. It's a robust, like, tank of a car. It does what it does, and to be honest with you, I've actually had more comments on this car, positive comments, than comments I did with the Golf. Golfs are 2 a penny now, but the amount of times I pulled into a petrol station and people have said that's a nice truck, and that's no word of a lie, but I have done a few bits to it. They do have a lot of cred, and without sounding old and old-fashioned, they are quite cool. Like, they just seem to own the road.
The thing is with the L200, you can love it or hate it. But what it does offer is you freedom, giving you the space of a van and the comfort of a car. Yeah, the infotainment system might not be as good as your saloons, estates, hot hatches, and let's face it, the VW Audi Group dominance, but it compensates that in many ways. It looks cool, can pretty much go anywhere, and you feel a sense of respect from other drivers on the road. And by respect, I mean, look at me, I'm big and you're going to get out of my way. Just kidding, that's all you BMW drivers. Join me in the next episode working on Project Turd Tech. Until then, make sure you do everything in style.